Hello and welcome to another Krav Maga online training class. My name is Rune Lin. I'll be leading you through the training today. We're going to be covering some strikes. We're going to be working on some improvised heavy bag drills and we're going to have fun. So stay with us. Okay, let's do some warm-up drills. So first, just start circles with your arms. Opposite direction. Now, in whatever place you have available, start moving a little bit back and forth. Then, again, whatever space you have available, let's move sideways. Then we make it square, so we run forward, sideways, backwards, sideways. Okay, then we move into the fighting stance. Reminding you again, fighting stance, your strong leg is back, forward leg, about shoulder width. In the distance, we'll talk more about this. And just start moving a little bit in your fighting stance. Then we start adding some punches. We throw in some knees. Show different directions. Use some uppercuts, hooks, hammer punches. Good. I'm not going to do it too long. If you're cold, you need to work it a little bit more, then just continue with the shadow sparring a little bit more. You can add in some different movements of defending, 360 and attacking at the same time. Using some inside defenses. And you can add some more stuff if you want. Now, start breaking the circles with the shoulders again, but this time make them bigger. So using full range of motion. Okay, we can be in this position, one hand up, one hand is down, turning, looking at the up hand. Just working a little bit, mobility drills into the shoulders. Now, neck. Half a circle to the front. More of a static stretch to the side. Not too much. Try to reserve the static stretching more towards the end of the training. It's a little bit more dynamic in the beginning. Okay, now moving more with the hips. Allow the arms to just move freely. Okay. Then, from this position, make some circles with the hips. So now the legs stay more or less in the same spot. The hips are making big movements. Reverse the direction. Okay, next, don't put weight on your hands, but just make circles with the knees. So they should be big circles so that you feel that your ankle is being stretched a little bit also. Opposite direction. Then we can make circles on the feet also. So basically you will be weight on the heels, on the outside, circle forward. Okay, let's move to some squats. So from this position here, you can be toes pointing forward, slightly outwards, that's up to you. Somewhere around hip shoulder width, also again, a little bit up to you and your flexibility. And we do, from this position, somewhere between 10 to 15 squats. You can do more if you want to. Just pause the video then. Then we can move to some push-ups and sit-ups. Now remember when we're doing push-ups, we want the angle of the elbows to be pointing backwards. So we're not doing push-ups this way because our strike is with the elbow down. That's why we want to strengthen this way. So in the beginning, we're just doing somewhere between, 8 to 12 push-ups. However many you're doing, it's fine. Then we're moving to the sit-ups from here. Now in the sit-ups, we want to keep the hands in the front, like a fighting stance, and then come up. That's what we can work with as a basic sit-up. And here, we can work a little bit higher number, so somewhere in the 10 to 20 range. Okay, once you finish your sit-ups, we'll move to the next. Then the next exercise will be something that our more senior students know. That's the sprawl and the punch combination from here. So we do it very, very light. What we want to see is a position where we're doing some strikes, working on some basic strikes, and then every 3-4 strike, we're going to drop, do a sprawl, come up, back up again in a fighting stance from here. So we're going to spend 15-20 seconds getting the heart rate up a little bit from here. If you're new to this, what you do is basically you're working on some strike, put your hand, just kick back the leg a little bit, come back up again. Do not lower the hip to the ground yet. We need to work our way up to this exercise. So that will be moving, striking, sprawling, coming back up, moving again, sprawling, coming back up again. And that you will do for another 15-20 seconds, and that will be the finish of the warm-up. Okay, quick reminder on basic movements with your legs and also some basic strikes. Starting with the basic movements with the legs first. We already talked about the foot being in about the shoulder width and the legs shoulder width, so we have the good distance here. Now, whenever we are moving, we want to move with opening of the position and closing. Meaning, if I'm in this position and I'm moving forward, I'm moving the forward leg first and then dragging the back after. So I don't find myself in a position where I close the leg and I don't have the good balance. Here. So opening and closing. If I go back, it's the same. I go with the leg in the direction of wherever I'm moving first. So opening and closing, opening and closing. If I'm going sideways, I'm gonna open and close, open and close. So whenever we are moving, that's the position, that's the movements we want to work on. Staying in this fighting stance as much as possible while we're doing this. Spend 1 minute now working on your footwork. Okay, very good. Let's revisit some basic punches that we need to work on afterwards when we're going to do the focus drills and the heavy bag drill. So the first is the straight punch forward. Now again, we are assuming that you already know these punches. This is more repetition for you. If you do not know how to do them properly, make sure that you go to a qualified KMG instructor to learn the proper way. If you are a beginner, you only know the straight punches, then we're going to use the straight punches afterwards. You're not going to focus so much on the hooks. You can still work on the basic technique, just don't assume you know them until you've been taught correctly. So from this position, and we do focus on the closed fist today. Open hand strikes obviously are working the same, but we are going to be hitting the pad with gloves on afterwards. That's what we're doing closed fist from here. So with the closed fist position from here, we're going to be doing straight punches from here, focusing on the straight punch. The hand should go in a straight line forward and back. So there's no up and down movement as we're moving. Straight from here. There should be a movement with the head because I am crunching and I'm sending the arm to the center line. So this would be about the center line of my body. If I'm here, my shoulder's not in the center line. So I'm shifting so I get the shoulder on the center line. That is moving my head to either side. And then there's a small crunch towards the end of the strike to get the abs firing and get some more power into the punch from here. That's your long range. Obviously, if it's shorter range, the hands will move more and there's not so much leading and all of these exercises. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, working on this. Then we have the short range punches, which is the hooks and the uppercuts. Now, in the straight punch, the elbow is naturally behind the hand. You know, we're supposed to hit with the middle part of the two biggest knuckles, so that there's a straight line going up the wrist, absorbing the punishment whenever you hit something. Impact is not going to break the wrist. In the hook, it's the same. I want there to be a straight line from the hand back to the elbow. So whatever angle I'm hitting with, it needs to be this. I don't want to see this happening, because that is going to break the wrist. So whenever we're doing this strike, it's always with this position of the hand. Hooking with the forward hand can be done shifting the weight to the back leg, which is a closer target, or putting the weight on the outside leg, or the forward leg, which is, you'll have more reach. So if I'm in this position, and I'm hooking with the back, you can see according to the sign here approximately how far I reach. If I instead make a hook, and go with the forward one, I have a much better reach. So from here to here, basically. That's quite a big reach. But both are hook punches. We can do low ones, middle, and high ones. Just remember that the elbow should always be behind the punch from here. And then the last punch that we are dealing with is the uppercut. So if the hooks are coming from one of the sides, the uppercut is from down and going up from here. Here also, we want the body movement behind. So we want the body to be moving behind the strike. So it's not just hands moving up and down. It's body, and then the hand comes up at about a 45-degree angle because the person is in front of us. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Bend down, explode up with the hip. Bend down, explode up with the hip. So that gives us the basic 3 punches that we are going to be working on afterwards. Straight, hooks, and uppercuts. Okay. Okay, so then we can be working with some pads if we have a partner. If we don't have a partner to hold the pads, I will be doing drills with you afterwards. But just to remind you again, When we hold the pad, we strike in a cross. So if I have the right hand, she's going to be punching with the right hand. Left hand, she's punching with the left hand. I'm doing very deliberate. That's a straight punch to the target. That's a hook punch. That's an uppercut. So it's very easy to see whatever punch you're supposed to strike. Okay? So very quickly, just scanning through this one, we're doing. Single punches, and I'm bringing the pad back every time, so there's no confusion. Then eventually you can start playing with different ones. Then we could do some combinations, which is basically either I just do things faster, or I do two pads at the same time. Okay, now let's work with you. Okay, good. So now you have the pad work. That's a straight punch, that's a straight punch, that's a hook, that's a hook, that's an uppercut, and that's an uppercut. Try to punch diagonally across every time. So we're going to do it. I'm going to hold the pad, you're going to be punching the pad. Okay, let's try this one. Good, so those were straight punches, hooks, and uppercuts. Let's try to do them a little bit more with movement, and you don't know exactly what's going to come. Okay, good. Shake your arms a little bit. This time it's just going to go a little bit faster, meaning that the time between every combination or every punch is going to be a little bit faster and faster. That way, in the end, you're going to be doing drills which are going pretty fast, but we're not really working on combinations. So in the basics, we don't want to do a preset 5-strike combination, for instance. We much rather want you to identify the angle of the pad and then react to it every time. These are reaction drills. That's why we want you to work on this quite slow in the beginning. So if the next is going too fast for you, just rewind and do the first one a few more times. Practice this one until you're comfortable with this one. Okay, so now we're going to move faster. Yeah, good. Shake your arms a little bit. The last one will be really fast. It will just be one after each other. Bam, 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 bam. So it will be a shorter. It will be 20 combinations, and it will be pretty fast. If you cannot hit all of them, just continue. Meaning if you missed one, forget about that one, continue on the next one, as much as possible. Okay, ready? So, about 20. Good, that was 20. Let's do one more round of this one. That will be the last. Shake your arms. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good. Okay, for part of today's striking lesson, we're going to be hitting an object. If you have a partner and you have a big pad you can hit, that's perfect. If you don't, we can make do with something that we find in our house. We can take a bag, regular bag, fill it with clothes, whatever you want to fill it with. The heavier object, the heavier the bag is, the less it's going to move. But it doesn't really matter so much. It's just a target for us. We're not supposed to hit it very strong anyway. So from this, we can start working on different combinations on our own makeshift heavy bag or light bag. So fix this one first. Attach it to whatever you can attach it to, something in the ceiling. It's not heavy, so it doesn't really matter much. Okay, do this. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, so now with the bag attached, and it should be the height of an opponent's head, approximately. With the bag attached, we can start working single punches and combinations. So in a fighting stance in here, we can work on different punches. You should work different ranges. Meaning here, these are some short punches, almost to the reach where I could do a hook instead. Then stepping back a little bit, so we'd be in the medium range. From here, stepping back, where I really need to focus on the shifting of the body and leaning of the weight. Okay, so that's your left-right combinations. If we just start with that, if you're P1, that's your material, you should start with that. What you should work on is movements also. So we're going to do strike, a few strikes, then move a little bit, do a few strikes, move a little bit, move a little bit. So for your P1, we would like you to move, stand, strike, move, stand, strike. For your P2, for those of you who are going for your P2 and above, obviously you have all of the striking and moving at the same time. So your footwork should be integrated into the punches, and it should just be one more live session. So then it would be moving, striking, this will be your P2 material. If you are P2 and above, and you know how to do the uppercuts and the hooks, obviously also integrating this into them. So we could do long range attacks, straight punches, moving in, working on different combinations of hooks and uppercuts from here. And then eventually, of course, footwork, different attacks, all of these ones. So you can do your straight punches, moving, hooking, uppercutting, adding hammer strikes, elbows, different directions, and different moves. So what we do now is you time yourself. We put the timer on 1 minute rounds. So you are working on your level, 1 minute. You take a minute break, another minute break. And we're going to do this for 5 rounds before we continue. For a finishing drill, we are going to be doing punching the pad and doing some sprawls. Most of you probably already know this one. We're not going to do the full round of 1 to 10. We're not going to do the full musical number. So we're just going to do 1 round, very basic, to get into it a little bit, and then later in the series of classes, we're probably going to do more of them. So what are we doing? Basically, we are doing straight punches, hitting the pad from here. Doesn't have to be very strong, but it should be technically good punches. Okay? Then, every time I yell sprawl today, you're going to do one of 2 things. If you're quite new to this and you haven't done it before, all you're going to do is put your hands on the ground, jump back with your legs, and come back up and continue. So you're doing what we call a bodybuilder. If you've done this before and you have no issues with the back and everything, you're going to be doing from here like we did in the beginning, sprawl all the way down, and then come up and continue attacking again. So that's going to be the finishing drill, but a little bit faster now. So we'll do a round of minute and a half maybe, something like this. Let's see how many we can do in that time. Okay? Get ready. And you start punching and you punch continuously until I say you sprawl. And then you jump back up and you continue to punch again. Okay, let's go. Sprawl. Time. Good. If that wasn't enough, rewind, do it 2-3 rounds. Okay, let's stretch the back side of your hamstrings. So whenever we're sitting and with the bent leg, hamstrings are getting shorter. So we need to stretch them to be able to make good kicks and everything. So the exercise we do in the beginning is one leg is bent, the other leg is straight, and we're just sliding down from here. Now the stretch will be on the straight leg from here. If you can grab your shin, that's fine. If you can grab your ankle, that's good. If you can grab your toes, that's good. The more down you go, the better it is because you have better flexibility, but the idea here is still to hold and feel the pressure on the back. You count slowly to 30 on one side, switch to the other side, again do 30 on this side, do that 2 times. That's a 1 minute on each of the legs. Okay, next is going to be the front, the hip. So we're going to go in a position where front leg is with the knee over the ankle, and the back leg is here. You should feel the stretch on the front of your hip, maybe even on the thigh a little bit from here. Now what we can add from this position is to grab the hands and take them overhead from here. You're going to hold this position for about 30 seconds, and we're going to switch and do the other side for another 30 seconds. Good. And the last stretch that we're going to do for 1 full minute is from a position on the ground. Your hip is over your knees from here. You're going to walk your hands out and you're going to sink down You try to put the head, the chin, or even the armpits down on the ground from here. The stretch should be in the upper part of your back, not so much in the lower part of the back from here. Make sure you don't sit back from here and that you're not falling forward. Stay in this position. If there are pain in the shoulder from this position, go a little bit wider with your hands. Feel maybe it's more comfortable for you to be a little bit wider in the hands as we're doing this. It shouldn't be pain involved. You should feel the stretch in your upper part of your back. So that's 1 minute of this exercise. Okay, so I want to thank you for joining me for this online class. Make sure that you are doing the basic stuff that we were covering here. Review the training again. Make it a few times a week if you want to. And in a few days, we'll see you for another class.